Okay, here we are. It's day 5 of the Dolphin Series. Today was a bit of a hard day. Now, reason being is if you looked at my recent tip video, you see me here and I'm pretty much farming bosses. Now, the win boss wasn't too hard. I have my, classic team, Albedo, Jean, Kaya, and Rosaria. Now, Jean, of course, can't really do anything since, win versus win's not going to do anything, but, she can at least heal me. I could have probably used Bennett, but to use Bennett, I would have had to take Kaya's sword, which makes him weaker, to make Bennett stronger, or either have Bennett with just a weak sword, so he wouldn't have been doing that much damage anyway. So, I just ended up keeping Jean on the team and, knocking out the win boss. Pretty much as long as you just kind of, do as much damage once it's knocked down. It's pretty easy. You just have to collect the orbs once you get it low enough in the health. It has like 4 little orbs where you just like fly around and capture them. If you don't capture them all, it heals more. But if you capture all of them, it only heals like a little bit, and then it tries to do like 1 attack to you. It doesn't have that much health, so you generally have, with your whole team, they can hurt it before it powers off that last attack, and that's pretty much all that there is to the win boss. Even got a little achievement. Oh, the Geo boss. This is where I messed up. One of the things in Genshin is if you don't fully understand the mechanics of like a boss or so, you're gonna have a tough time. Like this one, I just tried to brute force my way through this Geo boss instead of like actually kind of, respecting its mechanics. I know later on, eventually I'm gonna have one of the bosses that you fight is MTASHD, where they really require you to use a shield, but that's later down the road. With the Geo boss right here, I have Albedo, so, Geo hurts the Geo pillars, but one of the big things that really hurt these pillars is having a Claymore user. Now, I kind of knew that in the back of my mind. I'm like, oh, my team's strong, they're leveled up, they can easily knock out these pillars. I was wrong. Very, very wrong. And what I ended up doing, which was more on day 6, I just put Chang'e on my team, where he wasn't even leveled. I think he was like level 20 or something like that, whereas my other characters are like level 40 at this point. So he wasn't doing any damage, but he destroyed these pillars. Whereas Albedo was pretty much the only person who could do some damage to these pillars. A little bit Rosaria because she hit so fast. But yeah, I was having a tough time. You see there's like 5 pillars here, and this boss just constantly keeps teleporting off the pillar. So like by the time I whittled down one pillar, he would just teleport to another pillar, and there was like no point of me attacking that pillar. A lot of my people just ended up dying because it was just like I was just kind of playing frustrated, where I'm just like, I'm going to destroy this pillar. I don't even care that this guy's teleporting. I'm just attacking it. Now, you might be like, well, do I even start out with the Claymore user? Most people do, because when you start out the game, there's the Noelle banner. And the thing about Noelle is, she is Geo, and she uses a Claymore, so she actually would have been perfect for this thing. Now, you may not have Albedo, so you may not have to do that. That's kind of why I forgot how this boss works, because, most of the time, you're not having to fight this boss. Like, most people that you would want to fight this boss for is Zhongli, which he's good, but you don't really need him on your account, but he is pretty strong, especially if he's like one of the best shielders in the game. But a lot of times you just kind of want damage. Albedo, where, I told him, he's a decent character, especially in the start levels, but, you can just use Geo MC. Now, when starting a brand new account, you saw that I rode on the Albedo Banner. Now, Albedo himself, again, is not the greatest character, but the 4 stars on his banner were really good, which generally happens on rerun banners. They had Rosaria, and they had Bennett. Now, they had Noelle, which Noelle's not good, but, 2 out of 3 4 stars when starting, pretty good, and Albedo is a decent pickup. Like, he can do some damage, as we've seen. So, that's why I rode on that banner. But like if it was just like Albedo and they had probably like some of the worst 4-stars on the banner, I would have just not rode at all. Probably just maybe roll on the Noel banner and hopefully I got something good until something else comes in. Now, currently we have the Edo banner out, and if you saw my Edo rolls, you can see how hard that can be. I feel like Edo kind of needs some constellations. Goro definitely needs some constellations, and it's harder to get Goro than to actually get Edo, the 5-star. So that's why I'm not rolling on this account for that. I'm just gonna stick with my Albedo, and I'm gonna wait for another character, like maybe another Rerun, or maybe the next upcoming 5-star character, which I think is like Shine. She might be really good. I have to see how she is. Plus, she's coming with a Geo character, so Albedo with this other Geo character may end up being pretty well. So we'll just have to kind of see how that turns out. But as you see, I'm still fighting this Geo boss. A lot of bosses here in the game are just kind of annoying. Like this one's a pretty annoying boss. I would have to say like the most annoying one, especially like in the starter levels, is the water boss. Hopefully I get Xingqiu on this account, and I'm gonna have to go fight the water boss. Which makes that one annoying is it summons little animals that you have to like kill, and one of the animals are birds. So if you don't have an archer, then you really can't do anything to those birds. You can't hit them. They're like too high up. So if I probably had Xingqiu on this account currently right now, it would probably be really hard to level them up because I would just probably have to keep restarting, and hopefully I don't get the bird summoned on me to where I can't kill it. That's one of the most annoying ones. Like also if I was probably starting this account and I got Child, I'd be like, oh yeah, now we got something, because he's a really good 5-star who really like helps out your team, especially if you pair him up with Ling and Bennett. So he can kind of replace Xingqiu, because there's not a lot of 5-stars or 4-stars that can kind of replace Xingqiu. Like generally you want Xingqiu in almost all of your parties. But I finally defeated this boss. So quick summary. If you find yourself having to fight this Geo boss, make sure you bring a Claymore user. Most accounts are going to have a Noel. You don't even need to level up the Claymore or level up Noel. It'll still do a lot of damage to these pillars. But trying to attack these pillars without a Claymore user is really bad, and it takes way too long. This one, I think if you saw, took me like 10 minutes trying to do it without using the Claymore user. And once I used Chongyun, who was a level 20 character, I think I did it in half the time, maybe even less than that. All that work, all I got was one Ascension material. So that's one of the reasons why I was saying that you want to kind of wait as much as you can till adventure rank 50 or 55 before you start farming bosses, so that way you get the most out of them. That's when you start getting 3 Ascension materials when you want to like level up your characters, because this one was super annoying, and after 10 minutes all I got was 1. I thought at this point I was at least kind of guaranteed 2, and I was wrong, and this one hurt even more. So hopefully watching me do this kind of let you play a little smarter next time that you have to encounter this boss on your brand new account. Okay, this is where I started upgrading my artifacts, and the artifact that I focused on was the feather. Now the feather gives attack to your characters, so generally the rule of thumb is that you want to have like all of your characters have a max feather. Like you see I have purple feathers and blue feathers. The purple can go up to plus 16. If I had a go feather, it can go up to plus 20. So they just get more damage. And some of the stats aren't the greatest, but just having all of that attack is very helpful, at least at the start. Once you have like a main character, you pretty much want to level up their artifacts. But a lot of times you don't really have to worry about that until you get to maybe adventure rank 40 or 45, because generally just having a good team that works really well can get you through most of the content. You might have a little struggle with bosses, but that's about it. Just going out in the open world is pretty easy. But as you see here, pretty much what I'm doing here is I'm just trying to do a quick weapon ascension material dungeon. And the reason why is I looked at my experience book, which tells me like certain things that I want you to do in Genshin. Some of those are like, hey, go do a domain. And if you looked at my previous tip video, I talked about when's the best time to do certain domains. So one way to battle pass or get requirements for your experience books is just to do the low level ones, knock it out real fast, complete it, and then you still get credit, but you don't have to claim the materials. That's a nice little trick to where you can still accomplish the goals that Genshin wants you to do, but you don't have to waste your resin getting materials that you don't want. So this is just me going into the dungeon real quick, quickly completing this so that way I can complete the experience book. And as you see, me completing that one goal that it wanted me to do in the experience books opened up another chapter. I went from chapter 5 to chapter 6, and just going around the world and doing stuff, a lot of times you complete things on a chapter that you haven't even accessed yet. So I just got 7 things knocked out already on this chapter 6, so that's like a free 700 adventure rank experience, and then I can now look and see what are the other things that they want. Then I ended my day doing my 4 commissions, which is 1500 adventure rank experience plus 60 primogems, so something you definitely want to do, but pretty simple day. Bosses, experience book, and commissions. So check out day 4 to see other tips like these, but you guys have a nice day.